The November 12th, 2020 meeting of the Long Branch City Council will now come to order. Roll call.
Mr. Dangler?
Here.
Dr. Vogt?
Here.
Mrs. Wittes?
Here.
Dr. Selly?
Here.
And Mr. Vieira?
Here. We will now recite the Pledge of Allegiance of. I pledge allegiance to
Allegiance.
the
To the flag,
flag of the United
United
States of
States of
America
America,
and to the republic
Republic,
for which it stands,
and
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
invisible,
visible,
liberty,
liberty, and justice
for all.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper and adequate electronic notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and New Jersey Administrative Code Title 5, Chapter 39, Section 1.5, notice of a remote public meeting as required by law.
Reading of approval of a previous minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes of October 28th, 2020.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler?
yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
And Mr. Vieira?
Yes. Consideration of ordinance, public hearing, and final consideration. This is the second reading of ordinance 23-20, an ordinance of the City of Long Branch, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, adopting amendments to Oceanfront Broadway redevelopment plan. This ordinance was introduced on October 14th, 2020. I need a motion to open the public portion.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
If any member of the public has any comments to make, please dial *9 on your phone and a representative will call you by the last three digits of your phone number. When you are called upon, state your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
Caller whose phone number ends in 350. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ernest McNolly, born in Long Branch. I live in Asbury Park. First of all, it's a waste of time because the council president doesn't make clear, are we commenting on the ordinance or is it the public participation? And we waste 30 seconds every day because the city council president can't seem to get that in order. Can you speak and explain more clearly and give me back my time?
It's the ordinance.
It was the ordinance, Mr. McNolly.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So now, what happened to this that you were going to explain a little briefly to the public so that we even know what you're talking about? Can you do that, Mr. Arnone? No, I'm sorry,
Actually, we have-
Renone. You have to apologize, Attorney Renone, because I referred to you as Thomas Arnone, the freeholder. I
That's-
sincerely apologize. I know you wouldn't like me calling you that.
Now, Mr. McNolly, I'm an old man. I tried my first case before John Arnone, which I think is Freeholder Arnone's fault. Mr. Graviano.
You're an old man.
a brief
If you're an
summary.
old man, Lawyer Renone, if you're an old man, what am I?
Probably younger than me.
Younger? I don't think so. I just turned 72.
There you go. Okay. So Mr. Graviano, can you just give a brief synopsis of what this is?
I'm sorry, I had some feedback, Mr. Rendon. I didn't hear what you said.
Just give us a brief synopsis of what this is, an amendment to the redevelopment plan for the Bluffs project.
Yes, this amendment to the Beachfront South redevelopment plan is specifically for Block 216, lots 11, 12, and 24. The main focus of that is to provide a multifamily residential building in keeping with the established redevelopment plan. This plan does make modifications to the existing plan, mainly providing changes in some of the bulk and area standards. None of them are substantial departures from what's approved now. Some of the more significant changes include removing the density requirement, as well as in allowing for a increased height, and also requiring the provision of project amenities that weren't otherwise required in the previous redevelopment plan.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So I'd like to comment. I'd like to say, I think we're talking Bath Avenue and Ocean.
No, this is not Bath Avenue and Ocean. This is the section of property that's essentially between Bath and Pavilion.
Yeah, are we talking those two abandoned buildings?
No, this is not that site. This is the vacant site that
Okay,
is a stretch of land
north of that,
between Bath and
north of
Pavilion.
that,
Yes.
a little
yes, sir.
bit north of that.
Yes.
Okay, so so you're talking about you're relieving the density requirement. You know, that's a serious matter, right? You know what you're telling the public is you want to make it more dense, more units, and you want either a variance or relief to do that. Now, that's a developer give back. So in other words, if you say, well, we're not giving a tax abatement, but you get a density increase and a height increase, that's the same thing. Because now they can sell more units, raise the price, and the public really never knows, except eventually there's never going to be any sunshine west of Ocean Boulevard in Long Branch. It's going to be blotted out. And you're not going to be able to drive because of the density that you keep adding all these cars. And you're not going to be able to breathe because when you raise density, you get pollution. And the city systems can't take it anymore. That's why we have flooding and sewers overflowing. But, just keep giving these, okay, you want a variance? Don't worry. And you don't realize you haven't learned yet that these developers are the worst friends. They're not friends of Asbury. Look at how they abandon projects when they find out that they're over leveraged and leave you with all the site development that you do and the taxpayers pay for it. And nobody even knows what's going on. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are people who know what's going on in Long Branch, but they've given up on calling like I have because it's a brick wall. Really. We went from a law firm like Ansel Grimarin defending the ruination of Long Branch for 30 years, and now we don't have much better. We're on our own. We're on our own. And the same thing is happening. Increase the density, add the tax abatements, add the pilot programs. The school system is in shambles because when you get pilots and things, they don't pay school tax. So now you keep flipping it back on the single-family homeowners who are moving out in record numbers. And you always make it sound like it's not a
Thank you
big
so
deal.
much for your comments, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McNolly.
Caller whose phone number ends in 384. Go ahead. Caller, you may have to unmute yourself. It'll be *6 on your phone.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Michael Lubin, L-U-B-I-N. I'm an attorney and of counsel to the firm of Lowenstein Sandler in Roseland. I did confirm today that the letter which was submitted by my firm under date of November 5th, 2020 was received and distributed. And therefore, I do not intend to spend 5 minutes reiterating or rereading what is in that letter. However, I would just like to highlight a few points. First of all, I represent, or my firm represents, an entity known as Black Ridge Realty, LLC, the owner of property designated as Block 216, Lot 1401, and commonly known as 345 Ocean Boulevard. Our client's the developer of an apartment building commonly known as 345 Ocean. When our client came before the planning board as part of the redevelopment project, It complied with all of the strict requirements of the ordinance and even did more than that by making some design changes to the satisfaction of the municipality's professionals. The planner, Mr. Graviano, has summarized and explained what is going on tonight. That is the ordinance 23-20, which is going to adopt an amendment to the redevelopment plan. As pointed out by the public member who spoke before me, I think it's Mr. Mignoli. Please accept my apology if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. He pointed out that the two major changes are the height and the density, and that is correct. The height has been increased from 80 feet to 100 feet, but more significantly, the density has been increased where there is no density limitation. In other words, that will allow the developer to build as many units as the property will be able to take. There's no limit per acre or limit per floor or anything like that. As stated in our letter, my client objects to the adoption of this ordinance and the approval of the amendment to the plan for three essential reasons. Number one, as also pointed out by the member of the public who spoke, by allowing a developer in this area to build a project of the size and scope that would be contemplated, that will allow it to build at a much lower cost per unit than my client and other developers who similarly constructed buildings in this redevelopment area and who complied with all of the provisions of the prior, or I should say existing, ordinance. From an aesthetic point of view, I'm not a resident of Long Branch. I have gone there to the shore a number of times, and I think I'm older than the council and the speaker. I'm 73, but I visited many times when I was in college in New Brunswick and had friends who lived there, so I'm a little bit familiar with the town. Certainly not the town as it exists now, which is certainly an improvement. But this will take away from the aesthetic point of view of the buildings along the waterfront or along the ocean there. I don't want to say, because I haven't seen any plans, what the building is going to look like, but when you take a building of a much taller height and much larger density in an area where other buildings are smaller, it's got to stand out, and not in a positive way, but in a negative way. So this ordinance will pave the way, if adopted, for a developer to construct such a project which will be out of character with the other residential buildings in the area. I'm sure that a significant amount of planning went into the original redevelopment plan. This isn't something that was done overnight. I'm sure there were legitimate reasons for the limitations that were placed there. Why there has been a change in that thinking so as to allow this potential new project to be developed, I am not familiar with, but I do want to state on the record that my client, Blackridge Realty LLC, objects to the ordinance amendment and the adoption of the amended redevelopment plan. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Caller whose phone number ends in 198. Go ahead.
Mr. R.T. Man, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Ordinance number 2320. I'm objecting to it for the following reason. All along, I've protested this city's redevelopment from its inception. I didn't much like the high-density urban sprawl oceanfront then, nor do I like it now. Team Pallone ran against this redevelopment, and after lying and backstabbing the people with more tax abatements, is now going to take a measure tonight and further enhance this redevelopment. First of all, these amendments were heard and approved by the planning board this past Tuesday evening. over my objection. And as such, every recent incompetent political appointee member of that planning board is to be fired for just cause immediately, along with some of the other former members of this board. I've never seen such malpractice. As adversarial as I am familiar and know the process of this redevelopment. The bottom line is you can't do this. Why? NJDEP procedure. At that planning board meeting, I specifically stated that they cannot proceed with the amendments measure. After citing the flaws in the amendments, I then cited the general permit by rule. No one, no board member, the board attorney, had any clue what I was talking about. The board member, the board attorney, wanted to know the source of what the general permit rule was about. The general permit rule is the core of this city's redevelopment in the General Design Guideline Handbook. It's as fundamental as it gets. The general permit design rule in the booklet, it states, quote, may specific milestones have already been reached or scheduled in preparation for the development phase. And then there's an emphasis. Completion of review of land use regulation program CAFRA for rule proposal, end quote. That's the NJDEP general permit by rule. Councilwoman Selly, your name is on that. Some of the planning board members worked on that. It continues in the general design guideline booklet, quote, the handbook is also a source of information for NJ CAFRA, Division of DEP, to help organize its environmental regulations into an integral set of criteria, enabling them to give pre-development approvals based on the master plan and these specific design guidelines, end quote. I'm going to emphasize and repeat that last line. These specific guidelines. Those are the guidelines of the Beachfront South redevelopment sector. Under Ordinance 20 tonight, your general provisions, item number 2, quote, all plans shall be subject to any required approvals from Monmouth County, NJDEP, etc., end quote. With your own general provisions, item number 2, you are now in conflict with the general permit by rule of NJDEP. Under the general provisions of this ordinance tonight, item number 6, referring to deviations, reads as follows, quote, they will not impair the intent and purpose of the redevelopment plan, end quote. Again, you are in conflict with the general permit by rule of DEP because you are upsetting the intent and purpose of the redevelopment plan of the general permit by rule. And finally, Ordinance 23, Section 6. You discuss the relationship to the master plan and other county and state plans. Again, the council is in conflict with the general permit by rule, with the state plan of the DEP. There is no separation here between MLUL and the DEP, and no argument can be made as such as it was before the planning board. It's flawed. The fact is the DEP has precedence on this. And Mr. Raynor, if you think you're going to come through with some colloquy on this after I speak, you're flawed. Because right now, this council's putting the cart before the horse. This city was to have approached DEP first to see if these design guidelines could be amended before proceeding with the planning board approval and tonight's council approval.
Thank
And
you
how
for
do I
your
know
comments,
this?
Mr. Lepore.
For the
Your
last
time is up.
No other hands raised, Council President.
I need a motion to close the
So
public
moved.
portion.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor? All in
Aye.
favor? This is the third reading of ordinance 23-20, an ordinance of the City of Long Branch, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, adopting amendments to the Oceanfront Broadway redevelopment plan. I need a motion to adopt in third and the final reading as advertised according to law.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Is there a second?
Do we have a second? Can I second it?
Yes.
I'll second that. Roll call?
Mr. Dangler,
I'm abstaining from this vote.
Dr. Vogt,
No.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
No, because of the change in the density and the height.
and Mr. Viera.
Yes. Ordinance for introduction. This is the first reading of the ordinance 24-20 entitled Bond Ordinance Providing for Various 2020 Capital Acquisitions and Improvements for the City of Long Branch in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, appropriating $3,918,000. Therefore, and authorize the issuance of $3,722,000 bonds of notes of the city of the finance part of the costs of therefore. I need a motion to introduce the first reading as advertised, to post according to law, and set a public hearing for November 22nd.
So move.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Dangler,
Yes.
Dr. Vogt,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
and Mr. Viera.
Yes. This is the first reading of ordinance 25-20, entitled an ordinance amending portions of the chapter 308, taxi cabs of the code of the city of Long Branch. I need a motion to introduce the first reading as advertised and to post according to law and is set to the public hearing for November 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Dangler,
Yes.
Dr. Vogt,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
and Mr. Viera.
Yes. Public participation for resolutions and all general comments. I need a motion to open the public portion of the meeting for all comments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? If any member of the public has any comments to make, please dial *9 on your phone and the representative will call you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When you are called upon, state your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
Caller whose phone number ends in 350. Go ahead.
Hi, Ernest McNally, born in Long Branch. I live in Asbury Park, New Jersey. So I'd like to start off with what's been in the news a lot about Chief Roebuck, formerly Public Safety Director, and Civilian Roebuck, formerly Captain Roebuck, and others over a 20-year plus career. And the fact that we're still paying no attention to the 1029 Judge O'Brien Superior Court criminalizing of activities by then civilian Roebuck impersonating an officer and effecting an arrest in the council chambers. And I don't know why. Council meeting after council meeting, I and others bring it up, and you refused to get the court order by Judge O'Brien, as I sat in court and other law enforcement, of the criminalizing of the behavior of Roebuck. And to this day, you refuse to do anything, acknowledge anything. And even the victim, who was exonerated completely, is asking that you take some action, and you refuse. You disrespect everyone. It's all cover up for a man who's probably making $250,000 a year now, is probably getting ready to beat it out of the state, selling his home and grabbing as much pension as he can. And the taxpayers are going to have to foot this bill for a criminalized whatever he was in all his capacities, right? How does this happen? Frank Kavanaugh, right? Very connected. To everybody in Long Branch, right? Working in the Long Branch schools, technology, in and around the children, arrested, right? For abuse of underage women, locked up in the Monmouth County Jail, right? As a sex offender. And then all the quieting happens. The Link News blocks me from commenting, right? The Asbury Park Press, Chuck Webster, the prosecutor's PIO, won't talk to me, right? What you do is you control the press through your senators, your legislators, through the prosecutor, through the sheriff, through the town and council and mayor, so that what you want to get out gets out, but what you don't want to get out. Now, what's going on? All of a sudden, the school superintendent's leaving. Where's he going? He's going to Keene University, where all the bad superintendents go, like from Asbury, Ripollet, who destroyed the Asbury system, wound up working down in Trenton, and now takes a parachute to Keene. Well, that's where Salvatore's going. Why? Because of the handling of lots of cases of child abuse in the schools that go unhandled, unreported. Students up in the upper parts of the building, reported by custodians up there with drugs and sex, and nothing gets going. The chief won't talk to anybody, the mayor, the council. You block everything out. You bring in a corrupt city manager from Eatontown who blocks everything, hangs up on people. That's you, George Jackson. Really, with your friend Frank Musi, another loser. You guys covering up all the crime in Long Branch. Losers, liars, and losers. Now we have Krista Richter DeLisa of the DeLisa family with Peter DeLisa, right? And Debbie DeLisa, all Long Branch. They're adopted of the garbage empire, right? Look at them, drugs, violence. They got involved with the death of Earl Alexander, breaking up his family, getting them high on drugs and alcohol, sex, making sex films, right? And yet, this Peter DeLisa still comes into Long Branch to council meetings, gets the ear of the mayor and the chief and everybody. How's this happening? How? Peter DeLisa. Why don't we check out his background? Failed the psych exams to be a Long Branch cop? Where's he getting the weapons from? Ross LaCitra and Christopher Gramaccioni through the prosecutor's office. This man walking around with a Glock 45? How can this happen? Why is everybody so afraid to go out in Asbury and Long Branch with criminal, psychotic police on the job? And you wonder why? And when we look to our mayors or council for help or city council, we're denied. Ansel Grimarin had Long Branch and Asbury for decades, always denied us. So we live in fear of the government, of the mayor and council, of the police, of the firemen, of city officials and employees. We live in abject fear. And that's not the American way. That's the Long Branch way.
Comment, Mr. Cannoli.
Caller whose phone number ends in 198. Go ahead.
Vincent Lepore, 33 Ocean Terrace, Long Branch. Mr. IT man, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
I need 1 minute notification from the clerk, please.
Yes.
That's interesting. We had the vote on 2320. Neither here nor there. A little bit different than the planning board Tuesday night. How do I know I'm right? I've been dealing for the last 4 business days with the NJDEP Coastal Planning, and they told me I'm correct in my position. The city is incorrect. You put the cart before the horse. And
Tiger.
this is essentially what junk government is. About the density enhancements. These density enhancements brought about through the spot zoning, such as occurred at Seaview Towers, where that site is now designated as an area in need of redevelopment, were brought about administratively to the city's master plan for properties already in a redevelopment zone, as is the case with the planning board's recent recommendations for the city's beachfront south design guidelines, aka hyper spot zoning, stemming from the just completed and planning board approved re-examination of the master plan. Those density enhancements should require that developers who are beneficiaries of these density enhancements that are above and beyond what current zoning regulations allow provide a substantial public benefit contribution as a condition for their project approvals. These density enhancements create significant additional monetary gains for the developers. However, property tax abatements used as a marketing tool by developers in residential condominium projects provide property tax relief only for the developer's buyers and unfairly shift the burden for support of our city schools to all other property owners. Property tax abatements remain a flawed, unwarranted, and misguided abuse of municipal power. Density enhancements do not unfairly add to the tax burden of other property owners and should require a mandatory, significant public amenity contribution. I'm still very troubled by this redevelopment. Even the split vote and the abstain from this council considers to be troubling, since this team alone very much campaigned against the redevelopment we have. There are serious problems with this administration. And I'm going to bring up another serious problem right now. Madam Clerk, how much time do I have?
1 minute and 54 seconds, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The planning board has proven its incompetence on this matter. On Tuesday evening, it was a full approval by that planning board, and they are flawed. The mere fact of the vote tonight of the council shows the planning board doesn't know what the hell it's doing, doesn't do its homework. I do my homework. I expect them to. They're to represent the city of Long Branch. They haven't. They make mistakes. They're flawed. Some of the political appointees to that board, I have not a clue as to why they're on that board. I could care less if Christina Zook is the wife of Senator Gopal. She's incompetent. Anybody at the conclusion of an application that says, "What am I voting on?" should have paid attention to the application rather than keeping her hands on her cell phone. But further aggravating tonight is a resolution appointing a new clerk. I've dealt with this clerk's office consistently since 2003, and I'm upset because you're not appointing the individual that applied in the clerk's office, Miss Mary Moss, to the position. You're going ahead and taking somebody from outside. And Team Pallone campaign on promoting from within, and you're not doing that. Furthermore, this clerk office, unlike any others, has 40% involvement with redevelopment. Ms. Moss was mentored by 40 years of clerk experience, many of which are in redevelopment. To overpass her this evening with a political appointee for clerk of this city spits in the face of not only her, but spits in the face of every city employee of this city.
Caller whose phone number ends in 700. Go ahead.
Sure.
Good evening. My name's Lynn Stippick. I live at 13 Arthur Avenue in Long Branch. What I wanted to do this evening was to just thank the council and mayor for adopting the extra mile resolution at the last council meeting. And to Dr. Vogt, I'd like to thank you for reading the resolution and for recognizing 2 Long Branch citizens who do go the extra mile every day. I encourage the citizens of Long Branch to please go to the Extra Mile America website at extramileamerica.org to understand the program. At the site, you will find an explanation of the program, the list of cities involved, and inspirational videos. Long Branch is joined by 2 shore towns on the list, Brick and Toms River. Extra Mile America believes, and I quote, "Our work is inspired by the belief that going the extra mile opens doors to new possibilities. Going the extra mile improves the results we find in life, both professionally and personally. Going the extra mile allows us to make a difference in our community and in the world." I believe the council chose the perfect time to adopt the extra mile resolution. I have faith that our country will be emerging from the COVID crisis and that many of our citizens of Long Branch have been going the extra mile and others will be going the extra mile in the coming year. The efforts of these citizens in all the cities will help us to realize how much we care about this country and our communities and help to relieve the stress and feelings of separation of the last year especially. With the help of people who go the extra mile, we can move forward and continue the work which will help us individually and as a city. This program seems to be loosely structured, probably to allow cities to see what will work best in their communities. I don't expect any sort of input this evening, but I just had a few things on my mind. I know the initiative's new, but I'm wondering if there are plans to introduce an Extra Mile America to like all of the cities, all the citizens of Long Branch and all the businesses in some way. Is there a database that'll let citizens who would like to volunteer search organizations for contact information? And do cities share ideas? And are you thinking maybe in the future for a celebration of some sort on November 1st, 2021? I'd also like to say thank you to everyone for offering the summer and fall sessions for children and adults through the Recreation Department. I was able to work with some nice people at the Jackson Woods cleanup and enjoy the fishing, kite flying, and soccer pictures of the kids from the summer and the fall. My goal for next year is to try the stand-up paddleboard. With COVID still a huge problem, I'm wondering if Long Branch has any plans for Zoom or social distancing sessions during the winter. I have a suggestion for a session in which I would be interested: solar energy for the home. I see ads for solar panels approached in big box stores and see some information which is attributed to the power companies. But I honestly don't know who to believe. I understand the technology, but not the marketing. If there is someone from the Long Branch community who could donate his or her time to explain the best options for solar energy, I would be appreciative. There may be some other areas of life that Long Branch citizens may find interesting and would like some help in understanding during a winter session. Again, I don't expect a comment this evening. I'm just some things to think about. I'm going to semi-retire probably next week. And so I'm looking forward to, in the future, getting onto some committees and helping with some of the volunteer positions around the community. So thank you very much for listening this evening.
Thank you, Len.
No other hands raised, sir.
Madam Clerk, have you received any public comments by electronic, mail, or written letters?
No, Council President.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to close the public participation portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolutions. We can take a list of resolutions, a consent agenda. A resolution 228-20. Resolution appointing city clerk has been added to this.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Dangler,
Right. Go on.
Mr. Mr. Dangler, you have to unmute your microphone, please.
Thank you. My vote for the resolutions 22520, 22620, and 22720 is yes. For resolution R 228-20 for the clerk, my vote is no.
Council President, we can't, that's not the process we can follow. You called it as a consent agenda. If any council person wants to remove it for a separate vote, we should remove it for a separate vote, vote on the consent agenda, and then vote on that resolution. You can't do it.
Okay, then we're gonna vote for all the resolutions except 228, 220 now. And we'll vote that one separate.
Correct.
All right, let's take the consistent resolutions. Roll call, Mary?
Sure. Mr. Dangler,
Yes.
Dr. Vogt,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
and Mr. Viera.
Yes. Now let's take a vote on resolution 228-20, resolution appointing the city clerk. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler,
No.
Dr. Vogt,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
No.
and Mr. Viera.
Yes. Applications. Approval Justin Orhofer as an honorary under fire police member of the Phil Day Hose, company number 2. Miscellaneous business for good of the order. Councilman Dangler.
Thank you, Council President. Once again, COVID and the numbers are rising.
You're muted.
I was saying, I want everyone to have a nice, safe Thanksgiving. And even though the COVID is rising, please just continue to be safe because that is very, very important. And the last thing I would like to congratulate one of Long Branch police officers, Sergeant Antonia Gonzalez, who received a recognition from the Attorney General's office, the Attorney General's direct. Excuse me? Oh, the Attorney General Directive Pablo Santiago Resiliency Award. Congratulations, Sergeant Gonzalez. Thank you and God bless you all.
Councilwoman Vogt.
So I didn't catch the woman's name who made the comment just a few
Lynn.
minutes ago about the going the extra mile. I'm sorry, Mary.
Lynn.
So much appreciated that that you made that comment. Obviously we share the same concern and kind of dedication to the idea of recognizing the people who go the extra mile, the people that really make a difference and focus on the positive and try to keep everything going in that direction. So my vote tonight in terms of who I would recognize for going the extra mile is you, Lynn, for doing that, for having the courage to step forward. And however you would like to keep that effort going, I'm right by your side. If you want to reach out to me and for us to see what we can do, it's an important message and I would welcome the opportunity to work with you on it. So thanks so much for your comment. Again, just to echo what Councilman Dangler said, stay safe. It's, we're all getting tired of this and we might be getting a little bit lax and these numbers are overwhelming. So please be safe and good night.
Thank you. Councilwoman Wittes.
I'd just like to wish everyone well and just to remind everyone that our next council meeting will be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which is the 24th, and hope to see and hear from all of you again. Thank you.
Councilwoman Sally.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody, all the residents of Long Branch and their families, a happy Thanksgiving. And as usual, my comment will be, don't forget your mask, and please remember to social distance. Stay safe.
Thank you. Mayor Pallone?
Thank you, Council President. It's been mentioned already, but as COVID numbers continue to rise nationwide, we'd like to remind our residents to continue to wear your mask and to social distance. If you have any questions about COVID or what's going on, please contact our health department at 732-571-5665. Now, the next couple of weeks, please look for our holiday events we plan to have. They'll be listed on our website and social media. And with your safety in mind, we'll be following all CDC guidelines. And finally, I want to thank you to everyone who came to our business fair today. We had an absolutely great turnout. Over 40 business owners stopped by. If you're a business and missed the fair but would like more information about the $5,000 grants we are giving, please call the Office of Community and Economic Development at 732-923-2043. With that, I would like to wish everybody a great holiday. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and good night.
Thank you, Mayor. And I also, I'd like to thank Lynn for all that positive feedback that she gave us. And I also like to congratulate Officer Gonzalez, as I echo what Billy, Councilman Dagler said. A great job. And good night. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.
Good night.